Alright, yeah, welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today we're going to be exploring another budget option for you guys. So, as usual, my rarity restrictions are basically 6 rares and 4 mythics, so I want to try and aim roughly around that count when I end up building my deck. So keep that in mind when you do look at this list, that is the restriction that we're going for. It's about the closest to budget, which is achievable for everybody without being so cheap as to be not very competitive at all. So today, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be making Magic great again. So we're playing Walls. Walls. Turns out that Walls is a very budget-friendly list. So how does Walls work? Well, we play Wall Tribal, essentially, so all of our creatures are going to have the Wall tag in them. This is partially due to a budget restriction as well, so not all walls are actually created equal. We actually do want some plants in here, and maybe some hounds and things like that. But because of the budget restrictions, which I will get to in a moment, we're actually going to be focusing strictly on the Wall Tribal. It just helps us cast things a whole lot easier. So all of these have Defender, which says that they can't attack. So how do we actually win with cards with Defender? Well, we have 2 different types of cards that have the same effect that allow us to actually attack in with these guys. One of those is High Alert, which is a 3 mana, 1 white and a blue enchantment. It says each creature you control assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power, which essentially means that all of these have their toughness flipped over to on their power. So Wall of Vines is a 1 mana 3/3, Portcullis Vine is a 1 mana 3/3, Wall of Mist is a 2 mana 5/5, and so on and so forth. We also removes the Defender as well, which allows us to attack in. They can attack as though they didn't have Defender, should I say. So they still get to keep the Defender tag, which is kind of important. But at the same time, they get to attack as though they didn't have it. And High Alert also has another ability, which not really too useful, but sometimes it can be, in a fringe situation, quite good. We can pay 4 mana to untap a target creature, so we can swing in with everything and then pay the 4 to untap one of our big blockers or something like that, just to make sure that we're always able to stop our opponent from dealing damage to us. We also have Arcades the Strategist, which is in Bant colours, 1 green, white and a blue for a 3/5 with flying and vigilance, so a really nice body on that one. And he also does the same kind of thing. It says each creature with Defender assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power and can attack although it didn't have Defender. But in addition to that, this one also has the ability to turn all of your walls into cantrips. So whenever a creature with Defender enters the battlefield under your control, draw a card. So all of these are now 1 mana, draw a card, get a 3/3 kind of thing. So super value. Getting these together only has a little bit of minor value. We really just need one of those in our opening hand to do what we need to do, but combining them together is also quite useful as well. High Alert will turn Arcades into a 5/5 flyer, as an example, and of course, it doesn't really work the other way around. You know, there's not too much that High Alert or Arcades can do for High Alert, but, you know, having them both together is still quite nice, because Arcades will not pump himself, essentially, into a 5/5, so High Alert has to do that for him. Other than that, though, it's basically a nice wall package. We've got a few in here that are worth note. We've got Portcullis Vine, which has the ability to pay 2, sacrifice a creature with Defender to draw a card. So if we're missing one of our pieces, we can start sacrificing walls to go dig a little bit deeper into our deck. Quite important there. Gleaming Barrier is a 2 mana 0/4, and when it dies, we get to create a treasure artifact token with sacrifice this artifact to create 1 mana of any colour. So if our opponent has to kill this, then they're actually ramping us, which is very nice in that case. Suspicious Bookcase has the ability to turn 1 creature unblockable, which is quite useful, though honestly we have a better way of doing that, which is Tetsuko. Tetsuko is a 2 mana 1/3, doesn't have Defender, so he doesn't get the Arcades cantrip, but he still gets the High Alert treatment. It turns him into a 2 mana 3/3. It says creatures with power or toughness 1 or less can't be blocked, which is essentially every single one of our creatures. So it's very nice there indeed, and also makes himself unblockable. Now, when High Alert triggers and the combat step appears, it will show them as 3/3s, but you just got to remember that that is only kind of a visual representation of what they're attacking for. It's not actually their literal attack, so they will look like they're swinging as 3/3s, but really their power is still 0 or 1 in this case. Finally, we also have tower defense. Now, tower defense is an instant win in a lot of situations. 1 and a green for an instant speed spell says creatures you control get +0, +5, and gain reach until the end of the turn. So if we have our High Alert or our Arcades out, and we swing with, let's say, 3 creatures, so we're swinging in with 3 Wall of Mists, we're swinging in for 15 at that point, maybe unblockable. In addition to that, we can then fire off Tower Defense, which is a 2 mana, add 15 damage to the board, so we could be swinging for 30 damage with just 3 Wall of Mists attacking. That's just one of the examples in the way that tower defense just wins you the game on the spot. It's very nice. So, where is all of our budget going? Essentially, the 4 copies of Arcades is our entire mythic pile right there and then. It is very important, though, that you have all 4 Arcades and all 4 High Alerts, because without these, the deck doesn't really do much. So, you got to be very, very vigilant that you protect these at all costs. Maybe play around removal spells if you absolutely have to do. But as far as the rares are concerned, all of those are actually going into the mana base. And now I would highly recommend that you guys actually invest in the mana base for this one, because this is where the wall restriction actually comes in. So the reason why I'm running walls very specifically is for unclaimed territory. Unclaimed territory is essentially a 5-color land if we name wall with the enter the battlefield trigger there. Otherwise it just adds 1 colorless mana. So we can add mana of any color to spend it on walls essentially, but we can't use it to tower defense, we can't use it to high alert, and unless we name Elder Dragon, we can't use it on Arcades either. So it's still a restrictive land, but at the same time it helps us smooth out our mana a little bit. So our 6 rares are actually going into shock lands, which are very important for any kind of collection building. So these allow us to pay 2 life to enter the battlefield untapped. Dual lands as well. We really don't want to be messing with tap lands at all, because we want that turn 3 high alert as consistently as we can possibly make it happen. So we're going to be running 6 shock lands in this one. What I would recommend if you are to upgrade this deck, the first place I would go is to the mana base, and I would honestly keep going into the mana base until you have all of the shock lands in the game. And you also, all of the on-color shock lands, should I say, and then maybe some of the check lands as well. The check lands are let me go find them, Hinterland Harbours, this kind of thing. Enters the battlefield tapped unless you control a forest or an island. We have a very restrictive mana base here. I've tried to smooth it out a little bit. You can see like green is basically all of the creatures that we need, and then high alert is basically where all of the color restriction comes in for the most part. So you really want to be working on this, and as you do that you can cut down on the unclaimed territories, and then that unrestricts your choice of defenders at that point, because then you don't have to pick literal wall cards. Then you can actually go into searching for defender, which is a little bit more powerful in that sense. You can use like resolute watchdogs, novice knights, that kind of thing. I found these to be a little bit underwhelming, novice knights. You don't really need that 2 power block for the most part, and being white on the first turn, not too important, not too desired at all. But like watchdog would be nice to protect your Arcades, but because of the mana base, we can't really afford to play anything that's just not a wall. So that's where the basic restriction comes in for this one. So I would highly recommend going for your shock lands to make this one work. So without further ado, let's not waste any time. Let's show you this deck in action, and I hope you guys enjoy the matches. Okay, we're in, and we've got 2 walls. We don't actually have a way to enable them, but our mana is pretty good as well, so I think we'll take this hand. Though, of course, it does need one of our 8 enablers for turning off defender, or allowing us to attack regardless anyway. So we're going to go Wall of Vines here. We could do Plains Gleaming Barrier so we don't have to take any damage. And we might end up doing that, actually. Just because of the nature of this deck, I actually want to stonewall them. So if they want to get through Gleaming Barrier, like they have to have a Lava Coil or like double removal spell, which gets me a treasure and ramps me up. Which, if we draw Arcades, means that I get to play him next turn. And he's a pretty big boy. We can also use Tower Defense defensively, as well, so that we can keep our creatures out of death range for whatever that ends up being worth. I don't think it's worth much, honestly, so I'm just going to play Wall of Vines, Hallowed Fountain tapped, and pass. With 1 mana, I think we're very much in the driver's seat on this one. Because they're going to have to commit far too much to our creatures if they ever want their creatures to actually deal any damage at this stage. It's like Lava Runner has to run into Gleaming Barrier, then they have to use a Lightning Strike to kill it, which I'm happy for, because I get a treasure back anyway, so win-win for me. There's Wizard's Lightning. Alright, let the burn begin. We do still need to actually find our pieces that let us attack. So, you know, our opponent could just draw out of this one while we wait and durdle around a little bit. But there are 8 cards in our deck that allow us to attack, so you would think we'd get one sometime this year. Lava Runner, yep. Keeping pace with our current creature count, so not too troubling there. Portcullis Vine allows us to sack our creatures, so I'm happy to do that. To dig a little deeper, like we could actually use the Gleaming Barrier, sack that. But honestly, I might want to keep the 4 toughness. It's a little harder to interact with. So, go. And having a spare tower defense, like this is an instant kill if you can undefend all of your walls. So we only really need 1 in play to win. Because right now this represents 20 points of damage in addition to all of the damage that our walls are dealing. If we can just get a way to attack. That is the downside of this deck, of course. And one of the things you want to keep in mind as well when you do keep a hand is that you want one of those effects. I was a little confident that I would actually end up finding a way to get there, but you can see I was wrong. We can use Portcullis though to sack one of our Wall of Vines if we really want to. Hey, they got the second land. Okay. So they only need 1 spell here to actually trigger their Lava Runners, but they don't want to use it. We draw another land. So we're just going to go tap land, go. And what we'll do is we'll use Portcullis Vine on end step. Because we might want to block, and if they kill in response, then we can at least get some value back. Down to 14. Let's see how they attack. All attack. Okay. So block, block, and block. So presumably some burn spells are coming at my creatures, so we'll be Portcullis Vining at least one of them in response to all of this. Or they were bluffing. I don't see the point in the bluff. It kills a vine. Okay, so... not a vine, sorry. Yeah, a Wall of Vines. Now it kills nothing. Even if they'd have managed to line everything up to be like 1 toughness, we could have used tower defense there. And there's High Alert, so here we go. High Alert allows us to start swinging, so we will. If our opponent doesn't block, I believe they are dead. Yeah, okay. So they're going to block. Yeah, they're going to lose the Chain Whirler. 17, you're down to 3. And we'll play Portcullis Vine as a blocker. Just as a little bit of insurance. Now they're on chump blocks. And honestly, like any unblocked creature here with the tower defense in play is going to win us the game. So we did win this one on our opponent probably being mana screwed, but honestly, locking down their creatures as well, we could have won. Even if they'd have drawn lands, if their hand had been very creature focused, we could have won that way as well. Which it kind of was in the end. They had Chain Whirlers and things like that. Only 2 non-creature spells is actually what we saw here. So we take 3 down to 10. They've got 3, maybe 4 mana worth. They could probably kill us, honestly. It's as stupid as this deck is. They could probably actually do it. But part of that is going to be the all attack, which means they have to have it or they're dead. And we got Arcades, which doesn't really do anything. Not with High Alert out. High Alert does something for Arcades, but Arcades doesn't really do anything because of High Alert. It allows us to draw cards from our walls. That's about the only difference, really. Alright. Swing. Block, block, block. Tower defense, we win. Unless they burn in response. That is also an option. But they're going to burn right now, so we're going to tower defense in response. They only have shock mana. They could do light, shock plus Firebrand sack, but then they're also still dead. Yeah. Alright, pretty good. Taking down mono red. Not too bad. Let's go for another game. Alright, we're in, and we've got pretty decent mana, and we can play everything in our hand, so we're absolutely going to take this. We need one land into, like, High Alert, and then this hand is going to be disgusting. The question becomes, do we actually want to shock in any of this stuff? And I think the answer is probably no. So let's just go... Actually, Breeding Pool. Tapped. We can play Wall of Mist or Portcullis off of that. So it's not too bad. We just need High Alert now. I wonder what all the things he's thinking about are. Should I play this land? Should I not? Tough choice. Opponent times themselves out. Alright, so we're probably having a non-game here, which is great. Good for content. Alright, let's play Portcullis Vines, so that if we get the High Alert, we're swinging for 6. My opponent returned yet? One time I get a really, really good hand. My opponent disappears. Oh! Oh, he's returned. Jesus Christ. Okay. Land drop, go. It looks like a mirror of some sort. Very nice. Well, we're going to play Gleaming Barrier and Temple Garden, and we're going to pass again. We could start sacking some walls just to dig for our enabler. Also, it becomes cheaper if we do the Gleaming Barrier, but we do sacrifice a 4-power creature then at that point. He's back again! Yay! Gift of Paradise. Alright. Looks like my opponent's playing Turbo Fog, which is fitting because our opponent's taking 10 years to do anything. Alright, let's not tap like that, thank you very much. Let's tap like this, because I am sick of not drawing High Alert. So we're going to kill some creatures until we find it. And we whiff again. Alright. Wall of Mist, go. You back? Or are you gone? Oh, you're still here. Okay. Land into Teferi. Wilderness Reclamation, same difference. Same horrible deck. Oh my god, we got the High Alert just in time. Do we actually just win? We might actually just win. If they don't have a fog, we'll see. Or a counter. You have a fog or a counter? Good god. Oh, you're the perfect Turbo Fog player, I can tell you right now. 10 hours for each decision. Let's swing. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Plus another 15. If they got a fog, they got a fog. They're gonna chemist us. Alright, so they don't have a fog. So we just win. Thanks for tapping out. Oh my god. Yeah, you are the perfect Turbo Fog player. I wanted to scoop just because you were playing, in general, not because of your deck. Good god, let's go for another game. Okay, we've got a 3-lander with Arcades, who is almost castable, but the most expensive walls in the world. So if we're up against Aggro, which is basically ranked in a nutshell, we are probably going to lose this one. I don't know. Maybe. I'm going to mulligan it. And sure, we'll take this one. We need basically a High Alert to make this hand good. And we have a scry as well, so definitely don't need a second Tetsuko. So we're going to name wall with our territory and play our walls. Jig is up. They know what's going on. If they've been playing Magic at all. And it's mono red. So glad I discarded that previous hand. There's High Alert. Okay. So I'm glad I'm the world's greatest top decker. There's 6 points of damage. And next turn we go High Alert and we start swinging for 6. I'm pretty sure that's more than my opponent can do in this amount of time. Two lands. Steamkin. Strikes. Shocks. Wizard Lightning. Pyromancer. Okay. That's the worst of their options in my personal opinion. Because they'll probably be chumping with it in no time. Or I could just play Tetsuko and run right through them when they go to the chump blocks. Which is also an option for me. Alright. Swing. 6 points. Coming at you. Who can race better? I imagine it's me. So if we draw another land, could be absolutely any lands, we can do Wall of Mist Tetsuko. Then these are 6 points unblockable at that stage, so if he holds any creatures back, they're going to be pointless. So this is pretty much a race. I think he's going to start... Yeah, I think he's identified that this is a race and then made the wrong decision. Interesting. There's another High Alert, so that's not really that good. The swing for Portcullis. Wall of Mist to block. Though, honestly, I don't even know if I would block. I guess if they don't pump their Lava Runners, I'll block one of those, but... Lightning Strike on Wall of Mist would get rid of that, but I'm happy for that, because any kind of burn to my creatures is not burn to my face, and then my clock becomes better. Chain Whirler. Sure. Down to 4 on my Wall of Mist. So they're going to need Spectacle cards. They're going to shock my Portcullis Vine. Don't agree with that in the slightest. Especially since I imagine you're going to all attack me here and lose a creature. Nope. Okay. We do have tower defense, but we can't cast it. Sadly. So it's going to be Tetsuko here to make them unblockable. They held back. I'm going to punish them for that. Down to 6. And if we draw a green source, I might end up winning this one. Steamkin. Not good. Last card has to be removal for Tetsuko. Pyromancer. No. And the all attack doesn't kill me. Because I can block a Lava Runner. Or a Pyromancer here. And everything's unblockable on the backswing. That is more than 6 points of life. So my opponent's mistake here was pointing any of these at my creatures. They should have absolutely pointed them at my face and smoked. So that 5 points right there was the burn that they pointed at my creatures. Could have chumped if they wanted to, but they didn't. Sweet. Not bad. Okay, we've got 2 lands, and one of them is an unclaimed territory, so we can name Wall and basically play anything. High Alert is a blue mana source away from being cast, so I think we can take this one, especially being on the draw. We have 2 castable walls. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Blood Crypt and go. Sketchy, to say the least. Let's play Wall, and then say Wall of Vines. Now we have 3 castable walls. So if we can miss our land drops, we can still do something for the next 2 turns. Electrostatic Field for our opponent, so this is Punisher Burn. Most likely. We're going to go with the Wall of Mist. Just because it's bigger than their field, which will not really get any benefit from our high alert. We still miss our land drops, so just keep adding to the board as we go. It's not the worst thing in the world that this is happening to us, because if we just draw our blue source, we will have an insane amount of damage, but if we don't, then we're going to be in trouble. So it's mostly just relying on top decks at this point. Let's see if we can top deck well. As a green source, unfortunately, it doesn't allow me to do anything different, so tap land, bookcase, go. Board getting bigger. Lightning strike the face. We're at 12. We got 4 cards. We might just die to this. Firebrand is a dead card. And there's blue. Alright, so here we go. Do we actually go with Arcades? I don't think we do. Arcades would be dead to something like Bedevil. So we'll just do High Alert instead. They can Lightning Strike the Wall of Vines, I suppose, or trade off the field with the bookcase. I'm fine with all of those. Oh no, sorry, they don't get their power in that sense. They can chump a Wall of Vines. Alright, they block the Wall of Mist. And the Wall of Vines. Okay, so they're taking 8. And we've just caught up to our opponent, so pretty good. Well, we're a point behind. We've got 2 cards. They keep the field around. We're at 11. It's theoretically possible they could kill us here with the right chain of cards, but a land and a firebrand is certainly not it, and that is game, I think. If we have Tetsuko survive the turn, then he is unblockable for the rest of our squad, and we go right through them. If not, they block here. They take 8, 9, 10, 11. They go to 1. And then they lose their field. And they have to 8 us with a firebrand and a top deck. And that's definitely not possible. So they are dead. Pyromancer will not do it. Nice try. And there he goes. He's gone. He is out of here. And we get ranked up. Taking down the burn decks again. Silver tier 2. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. I mean, you know, silver tier's pretty much guaranteed anyway because of the way that it works. You're all the way up to gold is really, it's just time consumption really rather than skill. But there you go. Right, let's go for another game, I think. Alright then, we're in. We have the high alert ready to go, and it's going to be on a gleaming barrier by the looks of things. We don't have the green, which is unfortunate, but I think we still take this hand. We have the enabler, which is very important. So, Hollowed Fountain tapped past the turn. Green source is the best thing that we could get off the top, I guess. Sacred Foundry. Ooh, hello. Alright, so it's still going to be gleaming barrier, but at least what we can do now is play Portcullis Vine. Likelihood is, though, it's going to be Amaranthine Wall. Because it's just the bigger wall the following turn. Knight of Grace. Okay. So, turn 3, high alert. Swing for 4. Opponent can't do that to us. Reads the cards to explain the cards. Can't understand why Gleaming Barrier is attacking us, I guess. It's new to them. Look at them. Switching between. They're like, huh? What? Huh? What? What? I'm not looking at these long enough to read them, but I don't understand the interaction. Yep, swinging, which means they don't have a... Oh, maybe they do have a... I was going to say maybe they have the Conclave Tribunal, but they're just planning on blocking? Oh, that can't be a good idea. Alright, well, swing. They can block, shock, and then trade, I guess. Lightning Strike, okay. So we lose a Gleaming Barrier, but that allows us to play Amaranthine Wall and Portcullis in the same turn. So that works for me. So, Wall... Oh, hang on. Land. wall. Vine. You killed an 0-4. Congratulations. Now what? Aurelia. Well, the wall can go right through Aurelia. And we can go right through the Knight of Grace. I don't think they thought that one through. Nope. Alright, Wall of Mist. We also have tower defense here, so let's see if they block. If they don't, we'll tower defense them. If they do, I will tower defense your Aurelia. Because I still get another 5 here, so we 11 our opponent. Kill their Aurelia, they're at 5. Tap land go. And you have to answer this entire board, or die. They could Tribunal the high alert, it is true. So if they had that, it buys them some time, but they were just planning on goldfishing us, and yeah, that's what not interacting very well with your opponent gets you. Sweet. Silver tier 1. Whoop whoop whoop. Gonna be a gold in no time, boys. Gold in no time. Okay, we're in, and we've got 2 Portcullis Vines, and they're castable, decent mana. We're on the draw as well. We need an Enabler, and that's about it, really. Everything else will just fall into place. I guess we'll keep it. I'm just going to have to rely on a top deck, though. We are in the draw. Llanowar Elves. Sure. Alright. I suppose Steel Leaf is kind of a problem. Being 0/3s, we can't block it. Even with high alert. But it looks like Golgari. Thrashing Brontodon. Ouch. That actually will be an issue. Who knew? Alright, well, tap lands, Vine. Well, it might be an issue anyway. It depends entirely on which direction we take. If it is high alert, then Thrashing Brontodon is a problem. But if it's Arcades, then we'll go right over the top of them. Chupacabra, shot. Okay. And no blocks. We could bait them out as well with the Amaranthine Wall. Possibility. I'm not against it. So let's try do that. If they crack the Brontodon for the wall, just trying to get through, since it would be tapped out and no longer indestructible, that would be their window to do it. They should all attack unless they're planning on Llanowar Elvesing. No, they're not. Okay. What are they planning? Wild Growth Walker. Sure. Into Branch Walker? No. Okay, so they should have attacked him with the Llanowar Elves. Unless they have removal, like cast down. We'll see. There's a wall. Let's see if they want to crack the Brontodon. If they've got cast down, that's also an option for them. I'm kind of hoping that they'll go for the Brontodon plan, though. It's like you might just get a contempt from them or something like that. Let me just hover my lands to indicate that I'm tapped and can't do anything. Ah, Chupacabra. Okay. I'm still going to hold this high alert. I think what I might do is build up a board state where I can do high alert and tower defense in the same turn. Or at least try. Because if I play a high alert, it's just not going to do me any good. Because I'll just lose it immediately. Swing, swing. Taking 3. Taking 3. So they got no explore creatures. Because they haven't played any pre-combat into Wild Growth Walker. This is very odd. I think they're waiting for Arcades. And we're kind of just whiffing, so the longer we whiff, the worse this game's going to be. Just in general, really. Uh-huh. Same again. it's less this time. Don't know why it's less this time. Sure. I guess they don't want to waste my time. That's very kind of them. Llanowar Elves. Alright, well, we're kind of forced now to... Oh, now we can do the Indestructible on Amaranthine Wall. So that's kind of a thing. It's going to need a Vraska's Contempt to take care of. I'd love for them to try do Finality. Yeah, well, they've got the answer. Could never get them to use their Brontodon. That was our downfall, unfortunately. So, block, block, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, lethal. Yeah, well. Turn 2 Brontodon. Kind of annoying. And no Arcades from us, but they had the Vraska's Contempt easily, so that was probably going to be a loss from us there. Unfortunate. Golgari midrange, not really a good matchup for us. Alrighty then, we've got Hyla, which is missing a white source, but other than that, this hand is pretty good. Yeah, we'll take it. Yeah, just a white source off the top and we're going to be cool. We'll not lead off with the unclaimed territory because that will give away the plan right away. But I'm pretty sure as soon as I drop this Wall of Mist, the jig is up. So, you know, Wall of Mist, go. Breeding pool for our opponent says maybe Merfolk, probably Sultai midrange though. Yeah, Sultai midrange. Fun. Not the white source we were looking for. Alright, well, Vines, Tetsuko. We're just going to commit to this board. If we ever draw a white source, then we are swinging through very aggressively. We do open up removal on Tetsuko, but I don't really think the unblockable is going to be the thing that wins us this game. It's going to be finding a white source. Jade Light, okay. There's a Branch Walker. And a land. Okay. Gleaming Barrier. We don't have the Sacrifice wall, unfortunately. That would have been our white source if we could have managed it. So I guess I'll just do Unclaimed Territory on wall. And just play the Amaranthine Wall. Survives a few things. Then we get to attack it with Tetsuko. 20 turn clock, guys. We're doing it. Come on, white source. White source into tower defense, and we win. Jade Light, okay. Without a Wild Growth Walker, it's hard to feel terrified by this. I suppose a Hydroid Crisis is kind of a problem. And Seeker Squire. Keeping on top. Yeah, white sauce. White sauce one time. White sauce. Well, that's fun ruining. Okay, well, Gleaming Barrier. Bookcase. Gonna build a wall. We can keep the Merfolk out, but we cannot keep the Crisis away. Finality. Okay. Good for you. Now we have Hyla online. And we keep a Wall of Mist and an Amaranthine Wall. I think that was a mistake. Unless they have Assassin's Trophy in that unknown card of theirs. That's an oops from you, Cap. Down to 7. Suspicious Bookcase makes one of these unblockable as well, so the one that trades off badly, we can make it unblockable. If we choose to do so. Choop. On the wall, okay. So still dead 2 turns from now. Dead if we have Tetsuko off the top. It's a land. Okay. Well, that allows us to untap things. So that's kind of cool. So I guess we just make Wall of Mist unblockable. Swing for 5. Dead next turn. I don't think Krasis can make enough life. It can do X4, so it can gain 2 and then they're on 4. Yeah. Can't gain enough life there, so you have to kill Wall of Mist or Bookcase. If you don't have the removal, you lose. They could maybe... No, I was going to say, could they do... They could maybe do X2 Krasis and find a cast down if they have that, but it looks like they were very creature focused, so... Sultai midrange. Taking a beating. Pretty good. And all it took was them wiping our board to enable our win con. Good stuff. Good stuff. Alright, we're in. We got 1 land, and it's not an on colour for the high alert, so we're gonna mulligan this one. This one does not have the high alert, but it has reasonable mana. So we're gonna keep this one, and we're gonna bottom anything that's not a wall enabler, essentially. So Breeding Pool tapped. We're just gonna hope that Gleaming Barrier gets us there. I think it probably should. We're up against Mono Red for the 19th time. Okay. So we know how this one goes. We usually win. Field. Alright. That's a good start in the direction of them winning, I guess. But now High Alert comes down, so that's a step in the direction of them losing. Swing for 4. We can Tower Defense for an extra 5, so if they don't kill Barrier, we can save it on the attack as well. This might be a Lava Coil, perhaps? We just need to draw walls for the rest of the game now. And maybe even Arcades. Arcades is a pretty decent draw as well. High Alert triggers his 5 toughness to be a 5 attack with Vigilance. It's very nice. Wow, are we really eating 2 removal spells? Wow. Jesus. Have you played red before, opponent? That is the last thing you should be doing. Holy crap. Alright. Let's play Bookcase. We're at 17 and they've just pointed 6 damage at our Bookcase, or our Barrier. So we should be, really, at 11. Keep that in mind. Alright, we will take the damage. Down to 12. They can't attack through. We might just whiff, though. If we just draw lands, we could lose this one. Alright, they want to trade off a Lava Runner. Opponent's in a rush to try and win. Ooh. It's kind of... I guess. Arcades, hello. I will name Wall with this, because we can cast Arcades naturally anyway. And this is going to make my colourless, which still allows me to play Tower Defense. And I believe that's the win next turn, depending on how this one plays out. We're at 9. Swing with the Bookcase. Jumping with the field would be great for us, but they're not going to do that. Okay, down to 11. Yeah, if we don't lose Arcades, we win. And 8. Take another. Down to 4. We block. Down to 3. We win. If they all attack and, yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, there's Tetsuka. Double win. Bookcase is unblockable. Arcades unblockable because of flying. Swing. Tower Defense. You've got a spear spewer target there. You lose. Racing in red once again. Good God. It's not actually a 9-9. I do think that this is a little bit misleading. It makes it look like it is blockable, because this says 1 toughness or less, and then this presents it as a 9-9, which is technically not. So in that sense, it's a little bit misleading, but you know, it is what it is. 15th win of the day. Pretty good. Good old Riot. Alright guys, well that's gonna do it for today's episode. So before we leave off, let's go and have a look at the list. And should have changed that a long time ago. And talk about some of the changes that this deck can have. So, what is the big main issue here is mostly the mana base. As you can maybe tell, we were struggling occasionally to hit Hyla on turn 3. So, what I would say is the biggest change that you could absolutely make is to turn these all into 4-ofs. The mana base is going to be the absolute linchpin of this one. So if you can change that up, then you want to go down the unclaimed territories. We also, because of the mana situation, we did add the unclaimed territories naming wall. So all of our walls essentially are able to come in with a 5-color land. Now, just because they're walls doesn't mean that they're actually the best walls for the wall deck. There are a fair few creatures with Defender that you could consider adding. Novice Knight as a 1-mana play. I ended up not enjoying this one all too much, so might want to consider that one not being the case. There's also Resolute Watchdog as well, which would allow you to turn your Arcades indestructible if you really needed that, but I couldn't bring myself to do it, because if you've read that flavor text, who could ever kill this thing? A monster. But yeah, other than that, there are a fair few other things as well. Dryads is a 1 green one. We can add this as a mana dork, but it obviously is a little bit difficult to do. Plant as well. This Grappling Sundew is much better than the Wall of Vines, in my personal opinion. It is 1 mana extra, but it does also have the ability to be indestructible and has 1 toughness more as well, so it is a bigger hitter. But yes, really what I would say is that the main problem with this deck in terms of improving it from a budget is the mana base. So as you add more of these dual lands into your deck, maybe even some check lands as well, the more rare lands the better, honestly. So if you get these kind of lands, the check lands, you want to be adding those in. Let me actually just show you an on-color one, shall I? Where have you gone? Hinterland Harbour, there you go. You want some of these in here as well. They're nice to make sure that you're not paying too much life, but as you can maybe tell, we beat a lot of red and we're running Shocklands, so it's really not too much of an issue. So if you want to work on these are all very, very good. And a worthy investment as well. If you are struggling with an account and free to play, then I would highly recommend that the rare lands are the first place that you go to improve your collection. It might be boring, and I understand that is the case, but they are very much the most important thing in the world. As you can maybe tell, when we were losing games, it was because our mana base let us down, so the more mana the better. There is also a non-land version of a card that you also might want to consider adding. There is a 3-mana addendum card, this one right here, Unbreakable Formation. It's a 3-mana instant. It says creatures you control gain indestructible until the end of the turn, but if you cast it on your main phase, which we will probably be doing, we don't really interact on our opponent's turn all that much, so we're kind of a tap-out deck. If you cast it during your main phase, then you get to put a counter on each of your creatures, and they gain vigilance until the end of the turn, which pumps them up and allows them to block on the strike back as well. Very important. I only have one of these in here, and for budget reasons as well, I'm not including it, because we're already putting all of our budget into our mana base, which I expect most of you should probably do as well. I hope you've enjoyed this one anyway, guys, and if you have, then be sure to like, subscribe, and we'll do some more budget decks in the future. If you guys enjoy this enough, then budget decks will be coming back as a weekly thing as well, so be sure to get on that. Make sure to hit the bell icon as well to get notifications when videos go live in the future. I hope you've enjoyed, and I will see you all next time. Bye bye.